Hello, everyone. Matt Clark, research analyst for Money Markets here with your weekly marijuana market update. Now, before I get started, after you get done watching this video, make sure you head over to moneymarkets.com and sign up for our free daily e-letter. From Sunday to Saturday, you get a free e-letter. It contains all the safe and profitable information that we put out on Money and Markets. You get stuff from myself, from Charles Sizemore, Adam Odell, many others. And this includes my Cannabis Watchlist, which I'll talk about a little bit later in this video. So make sure you go to moneyandmarkets.com, sign up for your safe and profitable investment information that you get 7 days a week for free. Now, today I want to address a really great email that I received from Dave H. He sent it to our feedback at moneymarkets.com email address. He said, I've been watching your marijuana market update for a podcast for a few months, and I really appreciate your honest and straightforward reporting on the status of the cannabis market. It's not easy to find good straight talk on investing in this sector, and I was reluctant to invest in before listening to your views. I'm glad I started investing in October 2020 because I've made some decent gains since then. And I was wondering if I could get your take on a company called Charlotte's Web Holdings. It's not a straight cannabis play, as it's more involved with CBD. Do you feel that CBD oil has the same upside potential as some of the straight cannabis stocks? I have a couple of relatives who swear by this stuff as a pain reliever. Again, thanks for the podcast and keep up the good work. Well, first off, thank you for listening, Dave, and congratulations on the gains you've made. Now, I'll try to answer your question in parts. I'll first start off with the company. You mentioned Charlotte's Web Holdings Incorporated. It trades over the counter. The ticker symbol is CWBHF. The company was incorporated back in 2018. It's headquartered in Boulder, Colorado, which is just outside of Denver. It specializes in producing and distributing hemp-based cannabis oil wellness products. It includes tinctures, capsules, gummies, topicals, and even pet products. Now, in short, it doesn't produce and sell actual cannabis. It produces and sells CBD, which comes from cannabis but doesn't contain the THC that cannabis does. So there's two parts of cannabis you have to think about. You have the THC side and you have the CBD side. And so the CBD side doesn't have the psychoaddictive, as health.com would put it, attributes. CBD is very straightforward. It does not get you high or anything like that. And CBD is actually more widely accessible in the U.S. because it's not psychoaddictive. It's not a controlled substance. Now, Charlotte's Web sells its product through its own e-commerce site, third-party sites, and actually brick-and-mortar stores and various vendors across the country. It's not everywhere, but it's just about everywhere you can buy CBD. Now, the company had a 3-year annual sales growth rate of 86%. That sounds really good. Its sales went from $40 million in 2017 to $95 million in 2019. In 2020, its quarterly sales were trending fairly flat in the first 2 quarters, going from $21 million in the first quarter to $22 million in the second quarter. Now, it picked up a little bit in the third to about $25 million, but it looks like the company is going to miss that $95 million market set back in 2019. Now, the company's stock price has really been all over the place. If you look at a stock chart, you're just kind of wondering, where is this stock going? Charlotte's Web hit $2.96 a share back in March of 2020. It jumped to more than $8.60 in June. Then it was followed by a drop that found the stock hit an actual new low of $2.34 in September, not in March. Most stocks hit their lows in March. Charlotte's Web did not. It hit its low in September. Now, it bounced up to around $5 following the 2020 election, which most cannabis stocks took a nice little boost. But then Charlotte's Web dropped back to just above $3 a share. It's climbed back to around the $5 mark as of today. And it's a lot of bouncing around, and that really means a lot of volatility. And while it's not uncommon in the cannabis market to see volatility, Charlotte's Web didn't really follow the traditional pattern of a 52-week low in March, followed by a slow and steady rise until the election when cannabis stocks shot up. And that's a massive concern for me. Then you have to get to the financials of the company. So you look at the technicals. Now you look at the other data, what the data tells you. Its trailing 12-month income is minus $51 million. Its operating cash flow, minus $53 million. It's also carrying $42 million in debt. The company has a nice gross margin of 45%, but its return-ons are all in a negative, and in a negative in a bad way. All that said, there's really nothing here that sells me on this stock. It's not one that I would recommend you getting into. Its price movements, its financials, it just paints a really bleak picture for the company now and in the future. Now, they've also asked me about my thoughts on the CBD market. This may tie in a little bit to Charlotte's Web. I can tell you the outlook is actually pretty strong. The Hemp Business Journal believes that the total CBD sales market could hit as high as $1.9 billion in 2022. That's a stark contrast from just the $535 million the market had in 2018. So big jump in just a short amount of time. The huge issue with the CBD market for me is that it's really saturated. On top of the top 6 CBD brands in the U.S. in 2019, 3 of them held under a 2% market share, and Charlotte's Web wasn't even one of them. Conventional wisdom suggests that as cannabis becomes more legal in some states, CBD sales are going to suffer because CBD is kind of looked at as a medical enhancement to relieve pain and things like that. And there's a little bit of science behind it, but not a ton. It's more word of mouth. Cannabis, on the other hand, the reason why there's medical cannabis is because there's medical cannabis is proven to actually alleviate some symptoms, some pain symptoms and things like that. So once more states adopt cannabis as legal, either for medical use, or adult use, or both, you're going to start to see CBD sales start to dwindle off a little bit. Now, there's going to be some people that are going to be relatively uncomfortable with smoking. They don't want to smoke marijuana. They don't want to smoke marijuana cigarettes. I know that's an old term. They don't want to smoke cannabis. So they might just stay with CBD for the time being. But cannabis can also be produced in many other forms, under the tongue, tinctures, gummies, things like that. So again, as cannabis becomes more and more widely accepted across states, I think you're going to see cannabis CBD sales start to dwindle off. For the short term, CBD companies may be worth investing in, but I don't really think they make long-term investments. I think there are other CBD companies that might be a better investment avenue for you. Companies like Sugarmade Incorporated, Grow Generation, which I'm going to talk about shortly, and Neptune Wellness, Village Farms as well. Some of those, they may be better. I'm not necessarily recommending them. I've already recommended one of them. The other 3, I haven't done a lot of look into them outside of just kind of a gloss over. And I think they would be better in terms of investments for CBD rather than Charlotte's Web. Unless you're looking at strictly investing in CBD producing products, I think there's other avenues you should probably go. Even then, really, like I said, there's only one of those I would recommend, and I've already done it. And I'll leads nicely to a look at our cannabis watch list on moneymarkets.com. Our watch list does perform well. Our average gains of our 6 positions is 36%, which is still very, very solid. Taking a deeper look, Schweitzer Maudet is about up 32% since I recommended it in September. Perkin Elmer, which again tests various things, including cannabis strains, it's up more than 25% since I added it in September. Turning Point Brands, traditional tobacco company, but it's making a run in cannabis. It's up more than 53% since I added it in October. Grow Generation, I mentioned it earlier. This is one of our pure cannabis plays. Since I added it to the watch list in November, it is up more than 77% and still has room to grow. Planet 13 Holdings, this is my latest holding. It's got big expansion plans into California. It's going to pay off big in the long run. Now, the position is down, but that's okay because I think a lot of the cannabis stocks are starting to see a little bit of a correction, a little bit of a high and then coming back to the low. And they're going to start testing new lows and then upwards of testing new resistance. So Planet 13 is down. I don't know that it's going to stay that way for very much longer. Scott's Miracle-Gro, this is a company, again, you look at how stocks perform. Scott's Miracle-Gro, when I first recommended it, dropped as much as 10%. It is now up more than 36% since October. So again, just because you have a short-term downfall doesn't necessarily mean that it's time to get rid of the stock. Make sure you have a system. Make sure you stick to it. There's been some market pressure in the cannabis industry of late, and it's pushed some of our recommendations down slightly. Again, all but one are in the green. All but one are double-digit gainers. So not a time to panic. Don't worry. Don't stress out. Don't start worrying about selling off anytime soon. I'm going to continue to watch the trend, and I'm going to let you know if I think there's any time that we need to exit. You might want to exit the positions if you are holding them. But you can check out my cannabis watch list. Just head over to moneymarkets.com and do a search for the cannabis watch list, and you'll be able to see exactly what stocks we're talking about. Now, next week, I'm going to talk about another cannabis stock that's been mentioned in our YouTube comment section or on email. If you want to do that, you can just drop a comment in our YouTube section just down below. Let me know what kind of stock you want me to talk about, or you can email me at feedback@moneymarkets.com. Coming up this week, we'll have more on the Bull and the Bear podcast, as well as our Money Markets Week Ahead, so make sure you stay tuned for all of that. Check out moneymarkets.com each and every day for content to provide safe and profitable information for your portfolio. I'm Matt Clark, research analyst for Money Markets and the host of the Bull and the Bear podcast. Until next time, everyone, safe trading.